Welcome back to the 6th round post-fight show with me, Zane Simon, and my co-host, as always, Eddie Mercado. We're coming to you guys straight from the end of UFC 288, going down at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey, where Aljamain Sterling retained the bantamweight title in a fight that I think I was pretty comfortable with the score. Were you comfortable with the score? I didn't really see the argument that Henry Cejudo won 3 rounds of that fight.
I'm fine either way. I've seen it going for Henry Cejudo. I think that third round was a swing round. It could have gone either way. It was really close. But yeah, I think Aljo won this fight. I think I'm fine with the scorecards. I think, in fact, this might even be like his most legitimate win as champion. So
yeah, I mean, you kind of gotta feel for. Well, you would have to feel for him if he weren't the champion. He's got the belt. He's got as much money as the UFC is willing to pay him. It's not, going to be top draw pay-per-view money, but he's got the belt. He's got the money. You can't feel too sorry for him. But it is yet another fight where the people who aren't impressed by Aljamain Sterling did not leave more impressed by Aljamain Sterling, despite beating another very, very good fighter and doing a decent job of it.
Well, to Aljo's, credit, I guess I'll say, I'm sure he made the people who don't really care for him hate him more, and that's only going to bring more, interest to his fights. So I think he kind of leaned into Aljo a little bit and being him. And,
I will say,
talking shit back to the crowd.
His best moment, probably of the whole thing, fight, whatever. All that stuff was when he said, his whole, I'm not Mike Tyson. I'm not whoever. I'm just, I'm the Funk Master. I hate that nickname, so whatever. But yeah, I can't hate it too much. But I'm the Funk Master. If you don't like me, come here. If you got a problem with me, come here and beat me. And, that is the best challenge he can issue. The man is legitimately one of the very best bantamweights in the world. Even if you don't think that he is absolutely the best bantamweight in the world right now, you got to say that going tit for tat with Peter Yan and Henry Cejudo makes him right at among the very best in the exact same top 5 realm as whatever other elite fighters you might want to put in there with him.
No, honestly, it's kind of the perfect symbol for bantamweight. I feel like it's so interchangeable. Everyone's so freaking good that I feel like anybody can beat anybody on any given day. And Aljo's the embodiment of that.
And what's the argument right now for who's the best bantamweight in the world? Is it Patchy Mix? Is that going to be your argument? Because Mix is good, but
people are going to come at you with the Merab argument.
Sure.
You know it, and that's fine.
But that is exactly your point of, this is a division of very, very interchangeable elite talent because the talent is so good. It's not it's not the situation where it's like Anderson Silva reigning over middleweight and you're like, oh, Anderson Silva is such a huge level above these fighters. And Anderson Silva is great. I got no problem with Anderson Silva. But if you're looking at the actual resume of the guys he's beating, and you're looking at, Nate Marquardt and Patrick Cote and Yushin Okami and those kinds of guys, they don't hold a candle to Henry Cejudo and Peter Yan and, the other greats and Corey Sandhagen.
Some of them, right?
Okay, which ones? Which ones? Which ones?
Didn't he beat Rampage?
Anderson Silva? Rampage Jackson?
Oh, no. Who am I thinking of?
Who are you thinking of?
Who choked out Rampage? Someone strangled Rampage. Was it?
I'm not gonna go down this rabbit hole with you. I'm not gonna. We've got other stuff to talk about. Big thing here was, man, both these dudes are awesome wrestlers. If you got to take one thing away from this fight at all, it is that Aljamain Sterling took Henry Cejudo down and got his back and Henry Cejudo took Aljamain Sterling down, and both of them are just absolutely amazing technical wrestlers.
That was my favorite part of the fight. I mean, just the
Mhm.
high level scrambles. I mean, it's as elite as it gets, and I was enjoying it. And I know maybe a lot of the fans weren't kind of into the grappling, but I was absolutely loving it. And I was thinking of Dan Henderson. That's
Mhm.
who's Anderson Silva strangled, and Peter Yan's not on Dan Henderson's level. But anyways,
What? Wait, what?
Peter
Like,
Yan.
technically better, not better than Dan Henderson? I mean, one of these men won a UFC championship, and it wasn't Dan Henderson.
Yeah, but look what he did prior as a double champion before that was even a thing. You're disrespecting Dan Henderson? Oh my
I'm
god.
not well, I mean, sure. I'm
Wow.
disrespecting Dan Henderson a little. I'll do it.
Wow.
Sure.
That's wild, bro.
Hey, you know
I'm gonna
what?
pray for you.
Look, if he shows up at my door tomorrow, I will be there on hands and knees begging for him to not kill me. But until that day arrives, I'm sorry, Dan. I think Peter Yan's a better fighter than you.
I don't think Peter Yan's as accomplished.
Accomplished, who cares? I'm just saying better.
Okay.
Anyway, the point being, both these men put on a hell of a show. Dallas is reminding me that Hendo H-bombed Fedor. I mean, look, Matt Frivola F-bombed Drew Dober. Are we going to be just handing out prizes for
come
every?
on now. Come on. You're just disrespecting Hendo for no reason. It's like you have amnesia. You forget about the past and the pioneers. And man, Hendo did some amazing things.
All right, we got it back on
Wasn't
focus.
he a Strikeforce champion too? Like, what are you doing, man?
He got beat by Jake Shields.
So
if we're taking, if we're giving and taking here, anyway, we got to get. So the other thing here, obviously, Henry Cejudo, he just had this great fight with Aljamain Sterling. He spent all this time talking all this nonsense about going up to 145 pounds, which this fight made look like a really bad idea because Aljamain Sterling, he's a big bantamweight. He's not a small bantamweight, but he's not some sort of like physical beast of bantamweight division that cannot be stopped.
Yeah, but he was only talking about moving up to fight Volkanovski. He's not talking about moving up to compete in the division.
I know.
He's talking about one fight.
Yeah. But
lofty dreams. I respect it. He tried.
Yeah,
I respect that.
I'm just saying that it sucks that he's now going to turn that dream down. I mean, I'm not against him retiring if he wants to retire, but it just seems like, the idea of a fighter pinning all of their hopes and dreams on having to win the next fight they're in, that just, like, were these ever real dreams that you had? I don't know.
They're just conditional dreams.
Yeah.
But
can you have a conditional dream?
You can if you're Henry Cejudo. Like, you can hold yourself to a certain standard where it's like, like Daniel Cormier. He lost against Stipe. He's like, you know what? If I'm not competing for a belt, I'm out.
Well, yeah, no, and I get that. I'm just saying that, like, how much am I supposed to be invested in your dream if the moment one bump in the road comes up, you're like, hey, you know what? That dream's not that important to me.
Right, exactly. So the second it becomes tarnished or tainted or isn't the ideal, just rise to the top. Although, I mean, he's older now. This isn't like this wasn't like when he first got into MMA and he had that first loss and it kind of lit a fire under his ass. This is, I mean, he's not getting quicker. He's not getting faster.
No. Look, I'm not saying nothing about Henry Cejudo being like, maybe this wasn't the best idea I ever had in my life. Maybe I should just retire. Nothing about that is impractical. Nothing about that is wrong. I'd be happy if he goes and turns around and retires and rides off into the coaching sunset or whatever he wants to do. I'll always be happy for a fighter that decides that they can do something else with their body than fight people. But in terms of the completely selfish fan part of me that's just like, yeah, I want to watch you fight, then yeah, I'm just like, well, what is this? Like, what were you spending all this time selling me on? If the moment there's a hiccup in the road, you're just like, yeah, I'm out.
Well, I guess at least he was transparent in saying it's going to be
Sure.
Aljo, O'Malley, Volkanovski. At no
Yeah.
point was he saying anything outside of that.
I guess
So
what I'm really mad about is that, Max Holloway needs somebody to fight, and I don't know who it's
ooh,
going to be. So it could
yeah.
have been Henry
Well,
Cejudo.
and it could
It
have been
could be.
Aljo,
It could
but
have been Aljo.
Aljo's Sean
He's got to fight.
O'Malley. Oh, we
Yeah,
didn't even talk about that. They brought fucking Sean O'Malley like a
I
skull
know.
almost breaks out. Like
He
what?
took his shirt off. He wasn't okay. He wasn't even wearing a shirt. He was just wearing a jacket. But he took his jacket off. Like the man. Like what are you doing? You're not going to fight anybody in the cage right now.
Like,
He took it.
it's like an episode of Saved by the Bell or something. Like, what are you doing, dude? Definitely. Honestly, man, I thought the cringe was gonna die here. I thought that was gonna be it. I was like, okay, this fight's over with. It's done. The cringe can like relax a little bit. But then they bring in Sean O'Malley, and it's like, and okay, I think did they not learn a lesson with Moreno and Figueiredo?
I mean,
Stop.
it's a nice way to build some hype, and it did build hype. These two clearly dislike each other a lot more than I would have guessed. That that got angry in a hurry. I think that's it's a better sign for the future of that pay-per-view than anything else. But it is definitely like Joe Rogan trying to do the like, I didn't mean to ruin your moment, dude. It's like, what are you gonna do? Of course you meant to ruin his moment. You're bringing Sean O'Malley. Did you think Sean O'Malley was going to be really nice and respectful and be like, here's your flowers, dude. Here's your laurel. Here's your hearty handshake. I really want to congratulate you on your special day. He's not gonna do
Or like,
that.
I'm not impressed by your performance. Not even.
I mean, even that's disrespect. Like, you're just bringing somebody in that you know is going to be disrespectful. You can't really chase that with like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
And it was like a really bad moment for Aljo because he was getting booed in his backyard. That was
Oh
a
yeah,
Cejudo crowd. So he's already getting booed. He didn't dominate Henry. It was a close fight. And now you got Sean O'Malley in his face, who's at least better shit talker than Aljo. And it's just, I really think he was in his feels. And that's why he snapped on the crowd and was like, I'm not Mike Tyson. Like, leave me alone. I'm Aljo.
That's
like
still.
it? What are you gonna do about it?
I still think that's his best shit talk he's done in a long, long time. It's way better than the backpack rap line. I will never. That is seared. I mean, I guess that's good because that is seared so deep in my brain. I wake up at night and I think about that. I think rap.
Right. Yeah, it's like, have help writing this.
Yeah.
How many of you were working on this, Team Sarah Longo?
I can just see Matt Serra with licking the pen and scratching it out on the paper with like Ray Longo over his shoulder, being like, "Yeah, fuck it up, Matt, fuck it up."
Hey, rap, that hits, that slaps. Oh man.
Oh.
But yeah, I liked how he kicked, they kicked Sean O'Malley out of the cage and he was finally like, get out of my cage. I thought that was cool. He used his upper hand of having the microphone. That was a smart play.
Otherwise, you could really tell like Henry Cejudo was not used to the idea that O'Malley would be that far away from, or that not O'Malley, but that Sterling would be that far away from him. Took a while for Cejudo to get into the idea of the range of the fight that he had to have in there. Probably a better sign of the ring rust he came in with than anything else was just. And I guess you could say that's probably a problem Cejudo's had before. We just don't see it a lot because a lot of the guys he's fought are his same size. Because you think back to that Marlon Moraes fight, and he had the same problem in that fight where he had to just suddenly grit it and sit down and just start going punch for punch with Moraes. Only with Sterling, Sterling's not going to play that game. He's not going to sit in front of you and let you just exchange strikes with him.
Yeah, Sterling was doing good at he was doing a good job of staying at range in this fight. Not all the time. Obviously, it drifted into the clinch a bunch. But when Henry would build some steam, Aljo would find a way to get some separation and just make it awkward for Henry, maybe chopping at the calf or just throwing the jab out there. Just fighting long and making Cejudo's entries just much more difficult. It was a smart fight. It was definitely a smart fight.
Yeah, I got no problem with that. I got no problem with the score. I don't really see what the other round you'd give to Cejudo was cleanly. Not going to say that it was impossible. The rounds weren't, first couple rounds weren't that, or I think maybe it was like the third round that wasn't that decisive or something. I don't know. Cejudo thought he won.
The third was definitely the swing round here.
Yeah.
It was really close. And like I feel like what made it close was Henry got that last second takedown.
Yeah, which shouldn't have made it that close, but very easily could have. Yeah. All right, that brings us to the other fight that got the crowd really mad and everybody booing. Not a great night for the people who paid to be live at this pay-per-view, apparently. Bilal Muhammad, Gilbert Burns, and I don't know how to feel about this because I feel like this is the kind of fight that Bilal could have had even if Gilbert hadn't injured his shoulder. But once Gilbert Burns injured his left shoulder or his left arm, whatever it was, then it became a fairly foregone conclusion, kind of.
I mean, whether he had two arms or not, I didn't need 5 rounds of this.
Yeah.
3 rounds would have been just enough, to decide this one. It was, and honestly, I felt like Burns wanted out after 3. It was kind of hard watching his coach keep him in there.
He wasn't going to say it, but Hooft is not. He's not a throw in the towel kind of dude.
He's the opposite. He's like, let him die. Fuck it.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Don't quit.
Yeah.
He'd be that guy.
Wake up. You are my son, and this is going to be a character building lesson for you.
Right.
You go back out there. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing of a coach who was a lifelong fighter themselves is that they're not necessarily. Part of you thinks like, oh, you've been there, you know what it's like. You know that sometimes a fighter needs to be saved, but the other time, you're like, did you ever, were you ever pulled out of a fight? Was that ever your mentality? If it wasn't, then you're probably just gonna say, no, I know what I'm doing. We're not pulling you. You got to go out there and you got to take your licks.
But man, he was trying. He was like, is this the second round or something like that? And damn well you went out of the fight. Just say it. It's okay.
Yeah.
He can't. I don't fault him for it at all.
No.
Gilbert's a warrior, and he bit down, and he tried his best to use the tools available to him, and he made it. He didn't get finished.
No, and I want to know
he didn't get knocked down.
No, I want to know where that switch kick has been his whole career, though, because that thing was violent. He landed one to the body, and he landed one to the head. And they were both really good, but it felt like something he had to be forced. He had to be forced into because of the limit on the tools available. So,
it's like we never see everything that a fighter has. Like it's very rare. There's so many tools that they just maybe aren't comfortable enough trying at this level. At least maybe wherever they are in their training or wherever they learned it. So sometimes they're forced into it, and I think just attention to who Gilbert Burns is, he's a gamer. And tonight was Bilal's night. Bilal fought smart as always. He did exactly what he had to do. Wasn't going to play around on the ground. And just unloaded his volume, stayed at range, and just didn't find a way to lose it. He had it in the bag after 3, and he just stayed the course, stayed focused, and stayed disciplined and got himself a huge win. And now he's going to compete for a freaking title. Like, how cool is that?
Yeah. The big question, how cool is that is, Dana White is sitting right now in his office thinking to myself, God damn, why did I promise that dude a title shot?
Oh yeah, sure. But
the UFC doesn't think it's cool. You think it's cool, but the UFC
It's an actual earned title shot.
It is an actual earned title shot. I agree with you on that factor. As somebody who, our investment is covering the sport, you like to see people get where they should go through the hard work they put in, and Bilal Muhammad has definitely put in all the hard work in the world, and he deserves his moment in the sun. But also as somebody who is going to be trying to keep a website running, making traffic off of an event like this, I'm like, man, maybe Colby Covington can lose and get a rematch.
Well,
can they get Hamzat to cut off a foot or something to make weight?
Hey, maybe we'll get something super incredible in the fight. Maybe the won't be there, the interest won't be there, but maybe just the moment will go viral. We'll get a double knockout for the title.
That's
maybe
right.
chaos. Maybe there'll be a brawl. So real quick.
All right.
I always say that combat sports and you have the sports side and you have the spectacle side, and they can never exist without one another.
No,
this
absolutely.
Is an instance where we need that spectacle side to really shine through.
Yeah, I mean, especially if Leon Edwards beats Colby Covington, because Bilal and Covington, they have some bad blood there. They can make something work. But if it's Leon Edwards on one side and it's Bilal Muhammad on the other side, you have potentially booked the least anticipated title fight of all time.
The least anticipated rematch of all time.
Yeah, that's right.
We've seen that fight recently.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago.
But it was actually a pretty good fight when it happened, for as long as it happened until the
for Leon Edwards.
For Leon Edwards. There is that too. It was not a competitive performance from Bilal.
But maybe I don't know. I'm Team Chaos for that. I'm all the way.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about Colby Covington. I'm talking just I want madness. I want a spectacle.
As Team Chaos then, and as a Team Chaos representative, you got to be happy then that Yan Xiaonan beat Jessica Andrade, right?
Oh, absolutely. I felt like it was going to happen the second she waved off the glove touch. I was like, uh-oh, here we go. And she was looking so sharp, as sharp as I've ever seen her look. Oh, who was that?
It was absolutely the sharpest Yan Xiaonan has ever looked. I would also say that is the worst Jessica Andrade has ever looked, including her loss to Weili Zhang, where she basically just ran across the cage and got knocked out on the first striking exchange. I have never seen Jessica Andrade look that uncomfortable for that long in the cage. From the jump, she looked like she was not at all happy or confident about walking in on Xiaonan at all. And then everything that followed was just looked desperate. And
exactly, desperation. You're saying how this is the best we've ever seen her look. How do you think Andrade felt? Like, you prepare for, like, you saw the Mackenzie Dern fight.
Yeah.
Like, you go from that to this overnight. Holy shit.
Yeah, no, it's true, because like the Dern fight, I watched that and it's like, okay, so the big bonus that Yan Xiaonan has had over her career, including that fight, is that if she can outlast you with cardio and you can't out grapple her, then she can hit you with volume and take you out of the fight with volume. But this was not a volume performance. This was just every time Andrade waded in on a big wide hook, she got countered really clean. And
the pop she had in her punches was, she has more horsepower than she had in her last fight, and that's incredible.
Yeah, and no part of me was interested in Yan Xiaonan getting a title shot at some point, but if Jessica Andrade had won this, she would have been the obvious contender right now. I mean, you look at the top 5 in the women's strawweight division, every single woman there up there, other than Amanda Lemos, is coming off a loss right now. And something tells me with the UFC and the way they've invested in China and, you know, putting up a performance institute, doing this whole like, you know, Asia tournament thing that they're doing now every year, it seems like.
Was that the road to the UFC?
Road to UFC?
Yeah.
Something tells me they're a lot more interested in Yan Xiaonan versus Weili Zhang than they would be in Amanda Lemos versus Weili Zhang.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You can have a Chinese fighter versus a Chinese fighter in China. And Cormier even alluded to that before the fight even started. Like, how crazy, how big would that be?
Yeah.
So that's probably going to happen.
Yep. That seems like the likely move to make. And it's the perfect time to make it because Lemos, she's good, but she's, you know, personality-wise.
She got standing arm triangled by Andrade.
That's not
some MMA math or anything. I'm just saying, like, you come out and you do this to Jessica Andrade, like the consummate gatekeeper, former champion herself, like you get your ass in there for a tough shot.
Yeah, I mean, she looks as ready as she's ever going to be. So throw it together, make it happen.
Great. She looks as strong, as venomous. I mean, there was nothing to not like out there, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That takes us to a featherweight bout: Movsar Evloev, Diego Lopez. Now, I'm not going to ask you what you scored it because I am ready to be pilloried and to be mocked because I scored this fight 30-26 Movsar Evloev.
30-26?
Mm-hmm. Standing by it.
26. What was the 10-8 round?
Round 2. Evloev outstruck Lopez 80-10, 40-10 in significant strikes, and just absolutely mopped the floor with him all round. That's my argument. I'm standing by it. It got me a ton of hate. And
I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but he did land some really good volume, and his ground and pound is meaningful. It's not; those aren't arm punches.
It looked like he was hurting the man.
Yeah, he was fucking him up. He was mauling him on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was close. I don't feel like he was ever really that close to finish it.
That's fair. I'll you know. But otherwise, this is one of those things. I guess I should be more angry with myself, maybe. I don't know. Because I always say that submissions and grappling position should be rewarded. And I didn't reward Diego Lopez for any of his work.
Oh, wait. When did he have that knee bar? Was that the second round?
That was the first round, I believe.
Was it the end of the first?
Yeah, he didn't have a recorded submission attempt in the second round.
No, he had a near armbar at the end of the first, or in the first.
At least
he was in a knee bar at the end of the second round. I'm pretty sure.
Was he? Lopez is credited with 4 sub attempts, 3 in round 3, 1 in round 1, none in round 2. Maybe it was
at the end of the fight altogether. Maybe it was at the end of the third.
I think it was at the end of the third.
Yeah, I'm in a full knee bar.
Yeah, it was at the end of the third.
Yeah, okay.
So, round 2 was just a one-sided ass whipping. Rounds 1 and 3 were very close. I felt like Evloev did enough outside of the submissions he got caught in to take both rounds. But
I gave the first round to Lopez. He wobbled. He wobbled Evloev with a punch on the feet early in the round, and then that armbar was super close. So he was closer to finishing that fight in the first round.
That's fair. I probably should have done the same. I should have gone 29-27. I'll do 29-27 on reflection.
You're changing it after the fact.
That's right. On reflection, the 30-26 was stupid. 29-27. That's the smart man.
Give a 30-26 out there.
That's the smart man score.
The thing is, Lopez stock has went the fuck up in this fight, man. He came
Yeah,
and
it did.
he put on a stellar performance. He did way better than anybody gave him credit for doing. I mean, he got really close on a lot of submissions. I wouldn't be surprised if a little damage might have occurred from that knee bar, because you can see in the replay the grimacing going on. I mean, he put up a hell of a performance in a losing effort against one of the very best on the planet. I mean,
Yeah, this was a fight.
this is what you do. You step in on short notice and you put on a really solid performance. I want to see him again. Like, I can't wait.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a fight that I would have said. I'm sure I did say this week that because Mitchell withdrew from the fight like 3 days ago, 4 days ago. This was a fight that I just felt shouldn't have been made at all going in. It's just like, I'm sorry, Evil versus Diego Lopez. Like you're putting a top 10 featherweight in there with some guy on no notice at all. Why? Just
He
wait.
picked it.
I know. I
picked this.
I know Evil picked it, but if I'm his manager, I'm saying no. If I am the UFC, I'm saying no. We don't need
Hold
that.
on. If you're his manager, you're saying no. Like, don't give me your 10% or 50% of that paycheck. I don't think so, bud.
Well, okay, but
I don't think so.
That doesn't make a good argument for MMA managers. I'm talking
This is prize fighting. Like,
I'm talking as a
squat.
just and moral person here, filled to the brim
You're in
with
the wrong
good feeling
business.
for my fellow man. I'm saying that if you're handling a fighter and you're like, oh, we're going to have you fight some no-name guy on 3 days' notice, he's super experienced and nobody cares about him at all, I'd just be like, no. Push it out a week and fight next week.
We don't know what his other options were.
I know. It felt like a terrible fight to book, but you got to walk away from it being pretty happy, unless perhaps you're Movsar Evloev, where you got to walk away and think, wow, I really scraped out of that, and I'm not sure my stock went up at all.
Well, it was a great fight. I think if you didn't know who Evloev was going into it, you might at least like, oh,
it was on pay-per-view.
Great fight.
It was on pay-per-view, so it's in front of a big audience, and they both showed up, so people are going to have fun with it. But you are going to also walk away with a whole bunch of people arguing that Diego Lopez won. I saw that all over the place. And for Evloev, if you're trying to march your way to a title shot, that's not what you want to walk away out of that with.
Honestly, I mean, to your point, it's a big risk. It's a big gamble for someone like Evloev.
It is. It's a huge risk.
But the fan, I love seeing that. Like when guys aren't just like, no, I got to fight someone above me in the rankings. It's like, I want to fight. Like, oh, my guy pulled out. That's cool. Who's available? All right, give me him. I'm showing up.
We all love the the Drew Dobers of the world and the Donald Cerrone's of the world. But it's they're also fighters who had like one or two moments where they've risen up the division, then otherwise stayed like right smack in the middle doing action fights forever, because it does not keep you winning being that guy who just shows up for any fight. So the question now is, after that, do you do Evloev versus Sadiq Youssef? Does he fight behind him? Or do you do Evloev versus Chikadze or Evloev versus Cater, both of whom are coming off a loss, but are ranked ahead of him?
I don't see why you don't try to rebook Bryce Mitchell.
Yeah.
I want to see it, man.
It is a fun. Yeah, that is true. It's just, Bryce Mitchell, you can't trust that guy's not going to like electrocute himself with a cattle prod or something. I don't know that I'd want to base my fight camp around the idea that Bryce Mitchell is going to be a entirely whole and prepared person by the time fight night arrives.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. Especially, it's tough to want to fight someone after they already wasted your time once and put you in a situation like this where you got to face an unknown and take a huge risk.
Mm-hmm.
So he might not even want that fight again. And I totally understand that. But personally, I need to see it.
All right. That's fair. That brings us to another featherweight bout, though. Charles Jourdain, Kron Gracie, and man, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu still here like it's 1999.
Well, to be fair, it worked. He didn't finish. Didn't get finished. His self-defense worked.
Yeah, the self-defense part of it worked. Yeah, you're okay. If Charles Jourdain had been trying to snatch his purse, Kron Gracie put on one hell of an advertisement for Gracie Jiu-Jitsu.
Snatched, but he wouldn't have,
Yeah, he didn't get knifed. So you're right.
Get world starred.
On that note, Kron Gracie had a rousing success for Gracie instructional knife fighting and traditional jiu-jitsu. But man, I mean, if Henry Cejudo was clearly in the gym for the last 3 years, working out and doing whatever, Kron Gracie was definitely just out camping for the last 4 years.
Right.
And not in the gym. Because that is a significantly worse fighter than the dude who fought Cub Swanson.
No, this was abysmal.
It really, really was.
This is the worst fight I've seen in a while, honestly. And
I mean, not for Jourdain. He did exactly what he should do. He didn't play Gracie's game. He didn't do anything stupid with a very good grappler from guard, and he just touched him up everywhere on the feet.
This isn't Charles's fault at all. He did his job. His fight Q through the roof here.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Just the way he stayed safe on the ground, just completely shelling up and giving absolutely nothing. That's brilliant. Like, that's brilliant stuff. And it's like all he has to do is hang out, and the ref is either going to stand him up or he's just going to own top position and get control time. So brilliant game plan. And yeah, Kron stunk up the place, man.
He really did.
No pun intended for my chronic smokers out there.
No.
But Kron stunk up the place. It was we got butt scoots, guard pulls to nothing. Like, how many submission attempts can you recall? Maybe like
there was
half 0.75.
Yeah, he got into an armbar position at one point, I feel like, maybe.
Yeah, or it was almost threw his legs up for a triangle, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, but Jourdain was he was tight. He knew what he was doing. He knew what trouble he shouldn't get into. I mean, he's a dude too where, like, we think of him as kind of a wild man out there, but he's only been submitted once in his career. And I know Julian Erosa isn't Kron Gracie, but Julian Erosa is a pretty tricky fighter in his own right, and getting darced by one guy one time in the third round of a hard fight is a pretty good track record for Charles Jourdain, especially given how much he gets taken down. Like, he's a dude that ends up on the mat at the behest of his opponent a lot.
And that's the problem with not having wrestling.
Yeah.
This is the UFC. It's in 2023 coming out with one dimension. It's just not going to fly anymore.
That brings us to a lightweight bout. Matt Frevola, Drew Dober, and also the Charles Jourdain call out, Edson Barboza.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan. That's
fantastic.
A great call out.
And especially after that fight.
Yeah.
I just had to deal with a butt scooter. Like, come on, let's get Edson Barboza in here. Let's put on a show and give me a chance for some fun.
Do the man a favor. He's earned it.
Hey, and if that's a favor, like, damn, I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Well, yeah, fair.
For it, so.
But he wants it. Yeah. All right, lightweight bout, Matt Frevola, Drew Dober, and as advertised, an absolute banger. But if in I mean, I guess these dudes both hit hard and they both love to punch. So I can't be like shocked. But if you'd asked me 100 times straight who was going to win this fight by knockout, I would have said Drew Dober 100 times.
Well, I wouldn't have thought Frivola would have won any other way.
He might not have won any other way, but Drew Dober hasn't been knocked out for 12 years. You know?
Yeah, and Frivola's been knocked out, on a few occasions in like quick bouts.
Yep. And it seemed he got these two guys brawling. I'm gonna pick Dober every time to win that brawl, but Frivola looked good. I don't even know that he was necessarily winning every punching exchange, but he looked fast and he looked like he knew what fight he wanted to stay out of. He did not want to just square up with Drew Dober. And he did a good job making Drew Dober chase him to the point that Dober just chased him into that huge hook.
Yeah, it felt like he was preventing Dober from like fully establishing his timing. Dober was getting so close, and he was backing Frivola up and had him in his sweet spot where he loves to get everybody, and he's been knocking people out lately. And I mean, zig when you should have zagged kind of moments where like he barely is missing these knockout strikes, like barely missing these head kicks, and that's a timing thing. He just couldn't quite get the timing, and Frivola did. He had the timing, and Frivola hits harder. Like solo punch for solo punch, give me Frivola for sure. Like that man is explosive. He has explosive power. I don't think Frivola is a better striker by any means, but you don't have to always be the better striker. The better fighter doesn't always win. No, and that's the beauty of MMA. It's no techniques. This isn't point fighting.
It is a chaotic sport. To add to that chaos, then Matt Frivola went out and harangued Paddy Pimblett for choosing his own fights, and then demanded that Paddy Pimblett fight him. Which look, I'm not saying that this has to be a whole. I'm not saying these guys have to be introspective. I'm not saying this has to
logic into this, Zane. Like, what are you thinking?
I'm just saying that, like, you're out there in public being like, this coward chooses who he wants to fight. I am choosing I want him to choose to fight me. It's just like, what is this? It's a good call out, but it's not a fight he's going to get. Pimblett's ankle is all screwed up, so unless he wants to wait until like the winter to fight again, he's going to.
That actually makes it a bad call out.
Yeah.
Like you wasted a moment. You could have called out anybody that could have maybe.
I just, fighters aren't on. They're not on the internet all the time. They're not following Paddy's Instagram and all that stuff.
Oh, they absolutely are.
Okay, well then he's got no excuse.
They're fighters. They train and rest.
I mean, they're on their own. They're on their own Twitter and their own Instagram. You think that Frivola's been out there Instagram stalking Paddy, like liking all of his posts? Just
not liking it.
I'm not liking it. Okay. Yeah. Either way, if this does get Frivola into the top 15, which it very well could, and then makes no sense to fight Paddy Pimblett, but does make Paddy Pimblett more likely to want to take that fight, I would just say, assuming the Pimblett fight doesn't happen, Matt Frivola, Renato Moicano.
Man, that's interesting.
Right? It'd be fun. It'd be a hell of a lot of fun.
I would have never even thought of that. That's a very unique. And Moicano's on one right now. Like he is.
Yeah.
So
Frivola's out there. He says, I can challenge for a title right now. I am in my prime. I am making my run. Get him fights. What are we wasting our time here? Matt's not getting any younger. He's 32,
Yeah, man. And the way he's sleeping people. That's 3 in a row, man.
Mm-hmm.
So that'd be real interesting. And both of them are they're trying to make their runs. So that makes a lot of sense. I'm here for it, Zane.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got to do it. I have brought this into existence. We now need to, We need to go with the what was it? The Secret. That was Conor McGregor's big book. We gotta will it to be so. But that brings us to a light heavyweight.
You just Luke Rockhold on us, man.
That's right. That's right.
You gotta believe.
I win. When I win, I win. That's what. That's all I got to say about that.
Now that is sound logic.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. When I'm winning, and you can't argue that.
It is the truth.
Yeah, you can't teach that kind of thinking in schools either. Is what I'm saying. All right, that brings us to a light heavyweight bout: Kennedy Nzechukwu against Devin Clark, and yeah, kind of the fight that Nzechukwu always has, right? He got blasted early. He was in trouble. He covered and shelled and let his opponent burn themselves out, and then he just rallied back hard and stole Devin Clark's lunch money.
And it's also a very Devin Clark fight. Like, he's notorious for the most wonky finish, getting finished in the most bizarre ways. You know,
he really is.
Okay.
At least he didn't have to deal with his dad screaming at him from 5 feet away this time.
No, his dad was 10 feet away this time.
Yeah, exactly. Just that little bit of difference. Hopefully that made it a little easier to take, a little kinder on him.
Oh man. So this is first of all, it's a technical submission, which I am the biggest fan of. Like, it's a standing ninja choke. He puts dude to sleep, right? And the referee is on top of it. I mean, fantastic referee, but like not a Muay Thai referee in Thailand. Like, those guys will dive to save the head. This referee, like, Clark's unconscious, right? And he starts to fall, and the referee jumps in to stop it. And like, instead of grabbing the head, he starts waving off the feet, and Clark just face plants, and MMA
has this thing. I don't understand why. I don't understand exactly why it started. I guess maybe it started because with the freedom to ground and pound and the freedom to do so many different things to hurt your opponent, and the fact that you can follow an opponent to the ground, you kind of have to force the winning fighter to stop attacking, because they have the opportunity to just continue attacking after the person has fallen. But it's otherwise always really weird to me that referees always step in facing the guy who is winning and like try to wave the fight off to them rather than stepping in to save the person who is falling down like they do in Muay Thai or in boxing. Yeah. Like,
I mean, maybe it's they're not trying to get hit with any follow-up strikes, you know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like the way that MMA encourages you to just keep attacking no matter what. We've seen, how many fights have we seen where the ref has to do like a flying tackle of the fighter that's attacking just to like throw them off, get them away from the guy that they're attacking. It happens all the time. Yeah. But it does lead to really weird situations like that where it's like, you had the chance to rescue this man, and instead you're focusing on the person who is totally fine. Like,
but why? He wasn't. No, that's the thing, because he stopped the fight, right? Kennedy's standing, and as soon as he let go, like Kennedy starts walking away, and the ref goes down to a knee with Clark as Clark's falling, and instead of just reaching out, like, he's right there. He's just like, it's over to nobody, just to like the crowd and the judges and the audience, because he's like, oh, I'm gonna wait one. Like, dude, he's face planting in front of you, man.
Yeah.
And I'm giving him a hard time, real time. Shit happens. It was just,
I just Clark, like I say, I think the MMA is a sport. It trains refs. Don't focus on the person getting hurt. Focus on the person who is hurting them. Focus away from the person getting hurt. So that,
number one, you got to make the violence stop.
Exactly. And so in the moment, that even when the violence has stopped, the ref is still just going to be queuing in on that idea of like, I need to make sure the violence is stopped.
Right. Yeah. I love this fight, by the way. This was fun as shit.
This was fun. this was probably the best fight on the card, honestly.
I
Well,
don't know
maybe
that
maybe
Lopez.
Evloev,
Yeah,
Evloev Lopez, yeah, that might have been, but this was way up there.
yeah, yeah. This was good. This was a good one.
And probably Nzechukwu is headed towards the top 15 off this. I don't know. Like, there's a fight coming up against Khalil Roundtree, welcoming Chris Daukaus to light heavyweight. Winner of that against Nzechukwu, maybe?
Yeah, sure. Kennedy looked great.
He
He
did.
got wobbled by a big shot, but for him to thrive in the clinch with Devin Clark, who lives in the clinch, who would rather be nowhere else than the clinch. I'm sure he'd rather be on top, but he usually more so he just finds himself in a lot of clinch fights. So for Kennedy to just thrive there, and not just control wise, but just blasting those knees, elbows. I mean, his Muay Thai was phenomenal in this fight. Like, he looked great.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he got wobbled, I think he looked great out there.
No, he did. He did exactly the right thing when he got hurt. He shelled up, he covered up, he kept his head about him, countered when he had the chance, and steered the fight back to his area. You know, at some point, if he wants to ever climb up to the elite, he's going to have to stop getting hurt really badly at the start of every fight. But at least so far, he's still recovering well. That brings us to a welterweight bout. Our real controversy, our real judging controversy of the night. Chaos
This was
Williams.
a really good fight.
Yeah. Chaos Williams, Rolando Bedoya. And, okay, how did you have this one from the start?
Oh, what did I score this one? I gave Chaos the first and Boudet the second and the third.
So you had Bedoya by 29-28 Bedoya.
Yes.
All right. I scored at 29-28 Williams. I thought first two rounds were very close. I felt Williams landed the harder shots. They were not cleaner. They were not better strikes. They just seemed like they were harder. And, after that, Bedoya really did well in the last round to clean it up and take it home, and to take the last round from it. But just... honestly, an impressive second round was really close. And all things considered, I walked away a lot more impressed by Bedoya than I did by Williams. I'll say that.
Yeah, especially his chin. Holy shit. He stood up to the punches. He smiled at punches that put plenty of other people out. Yeah, no, I mean, Chaos Williams, he put enough fear into Matt Semmelsberger to win that fight off of him. He knocked out Miguel Baeza. He knocked out Abdul Razak Al Hassan. He knocked out Alex Morono. The dude has power. And Bedoya, I was watching him on the regionals. I was like, this dude is living off of his chin in these low-level fights. There's no way you can just throw him into a fight with Chaos Williams and have that be his defense, his principal way of blocking strikes, and have him win that fight. So for him to walk away and get the win out of that, I mean, I got to be impressed. I got to say, okay, this guy's got a legitimately fantastic chin that can put him through most fights in the welterweight division. And he's just got to work on improving the rest of his game to be something, more productive, more technically tight, more stingy, work on his footwork and things like that. But the toughness and the aggression are right there. No, this was so much fun. I think Rolando did really well. And that, what, does he not have nerve endings or something? Is he on painkillers? Like, how can someone be so tough? It's really remarkable. Like, I don't know how he just ate those shots and kept coming forward. And Chaos was punching himself out, just hitting this guy. Damn. It was an impressive performance. I'm not surprised he didn't get the win. I don't feel any real way one side or the other about it, but I'll definitely be interested in seeing what happens to Rolando Bedoya next. Knowing MMA, he's probably going to get booked against somebody like, I don't know, Abu Bakar Nurmagomedov and just get slept instantly somehow. Maybe. I don't know. He's got a lot of tools. I gave him the second round because of his leg kicks.
Yeah,
they were crippling.
They really were. If Williams had if they'd gotten Williams to stop throwing more, I would have done the same. But Williams, that is a single-minded man. I'll tell you.
He's a dog.
He really is.
He is a dog.
All right, that brings us to a women's strawweight bout: Verna Jandiroba, Marina Rodriguez, and Jandiroba on a run. And this was a fight. Honestly, I know it wasn't a thrill to watch, but I was really, really impressed here by Jandiroba because Rodriguez actually did what she always does, which is she gives up the takedown in round 1, and then she adjusts, and she gets much harder to take down. She didn't actually give up the takedown in round 2, even though Dean Thomas got on air and is all like, she just can't stuff these in midway through round 2 or whatever. She's like, she just can't stuff. Jandiroba pulled guard and swept her. And that is really goddamn impressive. Kron Gracie pulled guard a shitload of times. And it did not do him any good. So for Jandiroba...
He also didn't go for any sweeps.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Is it shit, Zane? He just pulled guard and
no,
that's it. Hung out.
That's what I'm saying. For Jandiroba, it's really impressive to Rodriguez she started round 2 and Jandiroba went and shot and Rodriguez stuffed her. And Jandiroba she made an adjustment, got creative, and got the takedown anyway. And then, you got to credit Rodriguez still that she still did what she normally does, which is she found a way to win the 3rd round. She found a way to rally late. Didn't win her the fight, but it was... I was really impressed with Jandiroba for winning this because Rodriguez is actually a surprisingly tough outing for somebody like Jandiroba, who's not the most physical, athletic fighter in the world, given how well Rodriguez has done in fights like this before, where people can take her down and can't submit her and can't stop her from attacking.
No, this was great. And the fact she was able to maintain top position, I don't think she ever relinquished it when she had it.
Yeah.
Once she was on top, that was it. I think Marina came close a couple times and she was pushing the head away. It almost got her hips out.
Yeah.
Jandiroba just did a great job of just really tying up her legs with her own legs. And Rodriguez just didn't have an answer for that.
No, she did her leg vine was excellent. She locked in on the ankles so that no matter how much Rodriguez could push her down, she could not get her ankles free and could not get away enough to get out. So I'm impressed. I know it wasn't a thriller, but Jandiroba, her game planning, her adjustment to Rodriguez's adjustment, I'm impressed. I always love seeing that kind of thing. That brings us to a heavyweight bout: Parker Porter, Braxton Smith. I can't even feel a little silly for picking Braxton Smith here because all they did is swang and bang for the first minute, and either one of them could have gotten knocked out. And then it just turns out that Braxton Smith has really truly only had 4 MMA fights. And what was it? Did you see that note? I think it was... oh God, who
they flashed on the screen or something?
No, it was one of the Mania guys tweeted that apparently Braxton Smith started training at an MMA gym for the first time a month ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What?
Well, if you're wondering why he absolutely did not look like he did not know at all what to do when he got put on the mat. That would
How
be
did
why.
he fight Chase Sherman in 2014?
In 2012, was it? Or was it 2014?
2014. Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
But he didn't fight for years after that.
But here's the thing. You can't just fight professionally.
Well, where did he fight him?
Probably Florida.
I bet it's like Mississippi or Louisiana.
It's Tennessee.
It's Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee.
So maybe you can in Tennessee.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, the game not existent. The neck not existent. So I guess he doesn't have to worry about getting choked.
Yeah, nobody's choking that man.
But yeah, the once he was fully mounted, he had absolutely nothing. Well, for one, he was probably gassed, right? And for two, I mean, zero technique other than shelling. No kind of, he didn't push on the hips, no hip escapes, no, I mean, no idea what to do with his legs. I mean, he just, you know, and I'm kind of glad this happened because, you know, there are levels to this, even at heavyweight. Even at heavyweight. So,
I mean, Parker Porter's still almost, you know, he got clubbed still, but there are levels to this.
Damn, all his fights were in 2022. Oh, he
right?
had one in 2023. Damn.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised they didn't put his ass on the Contender Series first or something like that.
I guess they, you know, somebody gave him a good sales pitch. And he was winning them all by knockout.
Yeah, his highlight reel. That was just
all right. Good. I'm always happy though to see a guy like Parker Porter pick up a win in the UFC, especially in a fight where he could have gotten knocked out against somebody who like does absolutely nothing for him at all. Beating Braxton Smith, other than keeping Parker Porter's job around, it's not going to be like, you know, oh wow, that was really the moment we knew Parker Porter was for real.
No,
but I'm always happy.
Finish.
He got it was his first finish in the UFC. He was elated, so good for him. All right, that brings us to a middleweight bout. Ikram Alaskarov, Phil Haas, and on the vivisection this last week, we were talking about how Phil Haas has tunnel vision. He fights on automatic. Like he's doing his own thing. He's flowing. He's only thinking about what he's trying to do. And he's not at all seeing what his opponent is doing at all. And the result of that is that Phil Haas, he looks really great and like he is absolutely keyed in right until the moment that he gets hit by something he did not see at all. And they're always the wildest, hardest, most instantaneously fight-ending knockouts you'll ever see of anybody. And this was another one. Like, Haas is just out there flowing, doing fine, got caught with a head kick, and then, like, ducked away from something and just got crushed by a 1-2 to the side of the head that he had no idea where it was.
No, he has quickly devolved into late career Melvin Manhoff.
Oh.
What do you? Oh.
Yeah, no. I mean, it just makes me sad because who doesn't love Melvin Manhoff?
Yeah, for sure. But man, you know, I'm actually pretty concerned for his brain.
He's
his trauma.
This is like I say. I mean, this is the kind of thing where every time he gets knocked out, he's had 4 knockout losses now. They are hard, clean KOs. Like, they are not, oh, I got TKO'd and then I bounced back. They are, you went out like a light and you were just stretched out cold. So, yeah, it's hard not to be concerned when you see that kind of thing.
Like, it just happened back in October.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Alaskarov, though, you know, new prospect at 185 pounds. He's still holding on to that Islam Makhachev hype. I'm not sure I yet quite believe that he's the best dude to ever come out of that camp. But he started his UFC career on a spectacular win, and you can't do better than that.
No, one of the smoothest 1-2s you'll ever see.
Mm-hmm.
And the way Phil went out, man, damn it, that is tough. I mean, just like asleep standing up, you know?
Yeah.
It's becoming common.
And finally, that brings us to a catchweight bout, Claudio Ribeiro against Joseph Holmes. And pretty touch and go, wild, sloppy fight. Ribeiro coming through with the TKO in round 2. Just a better athlete, a bigger puncher.
Freak. He's a freak. He gives me Yoel Romero vibes.
Yeah, without all the training.
Yeah, just physically. Like gigantic legs, long arms, huge hands, and he's got power. He almost got a finish at the end of that first round.
Yep. And I mean that's a great base to build on. Being fast and powerful, being strong, being able to, hit your opponent well before and from further away than they can hit you because you're faster than they are and all that. You can't really teach that. You can't build that into somebody's game. That's a natural gift that comes with it. So hopefully this is a building point for him and he can get the training that is, wasn't provided to him through his professional dance career.
Yeah, I mean, he's 30 years old though.
Yeah, so. I know it's not going to be the ceiling here is not exceptionally high, but he'll be in some fun scraps at middleweight.
Exactly. He'll put some people to sleep, and he might even, get put to sleep a few times himself.
Sure, I'll be there to watch it no matter what. On that note, we are going to have some bonus content. If you're not a Substack subscriber, this is the Substack pitch, the Bloody Elbow Podcast Substack. I don't know our .com for that. It's our Bloody Elbow Podcast Substack. Look it up. And we are going to have some bonus content for the 6th round immediately following this. It will drop exclusively to Substack for subscribers only. So subscribe, sign up, help us out. That is the way we support ourselves. And that is the best way to help Bloody Elbow out long term. So we appreciate everybody who is signed up, and we appreciate everybody who watched along here and who watched along with our YouTube live watch along party that preceded us. You can find me on Twitter at the Zane Simon. You can find Eddie on Twitter at the Eddie Mercado. And of course, find both of us over at Bloody Elbow. Adios, everybody.